We have Master Blender Drew Mayville. How you doing, Drew?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. So today's episode is going to be a little different. Drew's going to toss out the questions. He's going to ask the audience some questions. It's a bit of a trivia, so he's got a bunch of questions ready for you. We're going to talk about those subjects, and if you know the answer, put them in the comments. We're gonna look at the comments, see who knows their stuff, and test everybody's knowledge. If you've been watching Whiskey Wednesday this past year, a lot of these questions have been answered through Whiskey Wednesday. So, all right, Drew, let's jump into some questions. Let's get the audience going here. And if you know it, drop them in the comments.
Before we start, though,
Okay.
Trivia usually implies there's a contest and there's a prize. Is there any prizes on this?
There's some bragging rights.
Okay.
Definitely some bragging rights. And we are going to look at all the answers. If there's some people who know the majority, we'll kick around how we can reward some folks.
Oh, bragging rights is pretty good, though.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, just by the way, I have a lot of similarities with somebody you might know, is Alex Trebek.
Gotcha.
He was a Canadian-American game show host. I am also Canadian-American. I'm not a game show host, but maybe I could be after this session. So the other thing I have in common is I have gray hair like him, or like he had. So I have a lot in common. I don't know if I have his skills yet. Or maybe we should reverse it today. Rather than asking the question, give the answer and no.
Oh, that's pretty
That would
good.
be complex.
That's pretty good.
Let's just go with the straight questions if that's all right with everybody.
That's perfect. Now, remember, Drew, this is your audition for the big time game show.
I have to have a big smile.
There you go.
Okay, let's start up with an easy one. Whiskey cannot enter the barrel at higher than what proof?
Interesting.
Yes, that one's easy.
Yeah. So if you've been watching, you should know this answer. If you know bourbon and you've been an enthusiast for a while, that should be something you know. And Drew, is that so? Even though there's a cap, and we'll get to the answer in just a second, does that mean everyone adheres to that maximum proof, or can that affect flavor, etc., if it's entered at different proofs?
That's really a good question. As a matter of fact, we've done many experiments here at Buffalo Trace to determine what flavor is at each proof that we tested it at. But 125 is the max, but for instance, our wheat is not put in at 125, it's put in at 114 proof.
Okay.
So it's a lower proof because we feel it develops into a better quality product, whereas our rye bourbons go in at 125 proof.
Gotcha.
But that's a good question. You can go lower than that because we've done experiments, but what we found when it aged up to about 8 years, it wasn't as developed, and it was developing slightly differently than the ones that we traditionally age at that 125 proof, for instance.
Gotcha. So
even though it's different, and we felt that the 125 was the optimum in terms of taste, that was only in the traditional age that we usually age that bourbon to. So if you were to age it maybe 15, 20, 25, 30 years, you might have a good product. So unfortunately, we asked those questions after our experiments, which takes another 10, 15, 20 years to determine the answer. So it's really a good question, and it really intrigues us here at Buffalo Trace. But optimum for the ages we have, I actually said 125, so I gave the answer.
You gave the answer.
Now I'm not going to do well in this.
No, it's great actually. We already had a lot of answers before you gave the answer away. So just keep going.
So I still have a shot at it then.
No,
okay.
So I just want to call out some folks. The first answer I'm seeing on Buffalo Trace Distillery Facebook page, several people got it right. It's 125 proof is the maximum proof. It can go into the barrel. And I did see some folks that mentioned not lower than 80 proof, and that's actually in the bottle. That's actually the finished product.
Yeah, that's the limit.
But lots of folks. Michael Shaw, Paul John, Zach Brooks, Henry, Zach, Jack, Nathan, tons of people got it right. A lot of right answers on that one. So let's move on.
Okay, so to be considered a bourbon, what is the minimum amount of corn that's allowed to be added?
Yep. So in that mash bill to be considered bourbon, this also is a warm-up question. Drew's got some pretty tough ones later. But this is a good warm-up question. If you know bourbon, like we said, if you've been watching these, it has to be what minimum percentage of corn. And it doesn't have to be that, just like the barrel proof. It doesn't have to hit that number exactly. So if you have more corn, that affects the flavor.
It will actually increase the sweetness or the fruitiness of the product.
Gotcha. So we're going to let that run. So we've got folks from, looks like Boise, Idaho, Kelly from Boise, Idaho.
Wow.
Folks from Benton, Kentucky, lots of Beach Island, South Carolina, Jacksonville, Florida, Delaware. Lots of folks chiming in today, Drew.
Great.
But it looks like we've got a educated audience here. So 51%.
Yes.
Is the majority of the answers, and I'm assuming that's correct.
That's correct.
Okay,
yes.
Great. So West Virginia's here. Great.
So maybe we're starting off too easy.
Let's ramp it up a little bit.
Okay, let's see.
And again, as Drew's looking through these questions, if you've been frequent on Whiskey Wednesday, some of these were little hidden gems in some of our episodes.
So here's a good question. This one's a little more complex. More than 50% of the flavor of bourbon comes from, I'll give you some choices. It's like multiple choice. The master blender, me, corn, the barrel, or the rye in terms of a rye bourbon. So which gives more than 50% of the flavor of the product? So they're all important, but which gives you the majority? Now I bet you'll get different answers on this one.
Yeah, and I think we've got some folks. We've got people from Maryland. We have an interesting answer here. It says, what kind of yeast do you all prefer? So there's a question back to us, but yeast is also a great...
That's another contributor to the flavor. They all contribute.
I bet it's a little bit of an unsung contributor too sometimes.
So you can change the flavor entirely with the yeast.
Yep.
I mean, it's really hard to put a percentage on all of these, but we generally in the industry, this one's really important.
Yeah, and again, Drew, we're not tough enough. I think.
Darn it!
Yeah, we've got tons and tons of great answers here.
Okay.
I've got a few that say corn. I mean, we do know 51% of the mash bill is corn. At least 51%.
It certainly influences the taste.
Definitely influences it. What's the right answer?
The right answer is the barrel.
That's right. So Clyde from Columbia, South Carolina says the barrel.
Yes.
So
if you just look at it simplistically, if you didn't put it in a barrel, you'd be tasting that white dog, basically. And when you put it in a barrel, it transforms the product, something that's really delicious, although some people like the distillate. So that barrel has a huge impact on the overall taste profile. But the other ones are correct, maybe not as much, but they are very important in the taste of our products. Yeah,
just look at the color. Just the color that the barrel imparts as well. It's clear before it goes in the barrel, and in front of you is Buffalo Trace, and that deep, rich color comes from the barrel as well.
Okay, so let's get a little more specific.
Okay, let's do it.
And since I've been doing this for over 40 years, and when I came here to Buffalo Trace 17 years ago, I experienced this. So I'm giving you a little bit of a clue. And so what year did a tornado, or the tornado winds that came through and took off the warehouse C roof and part of the wall that fell to the ground? What year did that happen?
That's a great question.
So that one's a little tougher because you need to know a little more about Buffalo Trace.
That's right. So it's one of the sort of natural disasters that have happened here.
Yes.
There's been floods, tornadoes, pandemic.
Yep.
Lots of obstacles to overcome.
Prohibition.
Prohibition.
Yes. So this one is specific. So it's had to happen in the last 17 years because I was here when it happened.
Good clue. And we also know there was a special release.
Yes. Which...
That could be a clue too.
which turned out absolutely fabulous. To this day, people are still talking about it. And there's still bottles floating around that people have. So I hope they're enjoying it.
So one of the I guess, natural occurrences of that, the roof blows off the warehouse.
Yeah, portion of it. The wall fell down, but all the barrels were left intact.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it took fortunately, it took 5 or 6 months to repair the wall and the roof. But during those 5 or 6 months, all those barrels were exposed to the elements. Sun, rain, wind, everything. And actually, the product turned out to be fantastic and almost, I think, now legendary. As a matter of fact, to this day, people still call and ask if we're going to make more of that. So that's going to be kind of hard to duplicate that one.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen.
No.
So we've got lots of great answers.
No cheating. Everybody's going on Google, right?
That's right. We have 1974.
Nope.
That's not right.
No.
All right. So what is the right answer?
The right answer is 2006. Actually, April 2nd, 2006.
Okay.
You get extra points if you get the month.
Oh, nice. So Matt Carter, Zachary Scott, Tom Olson.
Yeah.
They've all got the right answer, among lots of others. There's a lot.
Fantastic. See, they Googled it, or do they know it?
I don't know. We've got a pretty good
honor
crew
system here today.
That's right. Somebody said Sunday evening, April 2nd, 2006.
Woo.
Yeah.
Now that's specific.
That is very
That's
specific.
extra points.
That's right. All right. So folks from Montana and several others.
Fantastic.
Okay.
We've got a really good audience.
That's right.
So how many barrels do our new warehouses on the farm hold? And this is our new warehouses that we're constructing right now. And I think we can round it to the nearest number because it's very specific.
It is.
They're the largest in Kentucky, the ones that we're building. So I think that's a good question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you've seen past episodes with Harlan, I think Harlan and I have walked through some of those warehouses and showed you the construction, showed you some of the progress being made up on the farm. So if you've watched those, so Ronald says not enough. Not enough.
I like that answer best.
Yeah. Mary from Kansas, hello. A lot of answers here. I've only seen a couple correct ones. Bear from Indianapolis says 50,000 barrels.
Getting hot.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, Drew. What's the answer?
58,800 barrels. So 60,000 would be a good answer.
Mm-hmm. We've got Greg says 58,600. Tim says 58,000.
That's pretty good. Pretty good answer.
Yeah, a lot of them are very close. A lot of 50,000s.
And you know what? They're probably closer to the right answer if they're below, because you never have a warehouse at 100% because you're taking barrels in and out. So it's never, you can't be 100% full unless you just pile it in and just leave it. But the way a warehouse works is you're always entry and exiting barrels. So.
Yeah, it looks like somebody had 50,825. That was a very specific answer. So
pretty close.
Pretty close. All right, let's move on.
How many fermenters do we now have after our expansion? So as everybody knows, we've been expanding and investing probably close to $1.2 billion, the last few years and the next few years, trying to keep up with that demand that we have for our products. But now we have how many fermenters?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. If you've been on tour here before COVID, you definitely probably walked through the fermenters if you had the hard hat tour.
Right.
But yeah, so we had a certain amount, and now we have a total that's completed. And how many new ones? What was the question? How many new ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you can give me how many total.
Yeah.
No, but I guess we keep it one way. Just how many total do we have?
Yeah, okay. How many total fermenters?
After the expansion.
After the expansion, okay. Oh, Greg says, including the one in Pompeii. Look at that.
Now this is a very good bonus points for that one.
Whoa. Yeah.
No, we won't include those.
We won't?
No.
Because there's one that's in operation, but
There is one, yes.
Greg.
So technically, he's right on the money.
Greg, you got us.
Woo-hoo.
You got us, Greg.
Well, I didn't even think of that one.
Me neither. Okay. Let's see here. So we've got Kyle says 4. We've got a answer of 28, 6. We've got all kinds of great. Some are guesses, but how many total do we have, Drew?
24
Okay.
after our expansion. So
So-
that's doubling our capacity because we had 12 prior.
Okay. So 12 prior for years and years and years.
Yeah, and now we keep, and I tell this to people, think that we just don't, we're not making enough, obviously, because we can't supply the need because it has to age for so long. But we keep making more every single year. It's just never enough. And so I'm very disappointed when I go to the liquor store. I can't even see our products on the shelf because they're gone. So we keep making more and more. It just, everybody keeps buying it, and we never have stuff on the shelf. And I feel bad for people, but the products we make, we feel they are excellent products. And I think a few other people do, and that's why they're not there. But thank you, and keep buying, and just be patient, because it's going to take 8 years to make another bottle of this.
That's right. So I think, just talking about the expansion. So, we've talked about it with you and Harlan and other folks. Well, you can't just increase production without increasing everything, every part of production. So through Whiskey Wednesday, we've looked at the fermenter expansion, the still house expansion, the cookers, the dry house.
Yeah, all the infrastructure too has to grow with it too, and people. We have to hire people and train people, and for the future. So there's all kinds of extras. Yes.
Yeah. So you can't just expand on one thing. You got to expand.
Yeah, and it has to be
part.
timed the right way so that you don't want to have 100 warehouses and they're empty.
Right.
I mean, you have to do it in a logical fashion.
All right. So whoever guessed 12, I understand that, because
Yes.
that was like,
Yeah.
that's how many we've built since the expansion.
Right, that's
24
correct.
total.
Yep. This one is really interesting because a lot of people won't get this. This is really trivia. What is Buffalo Trace's distillery's motto?
So you've heard, somebody that says it quite a bit on Whiskey Wednesday is Freddie. Freddie has said it a lot. We've brought it up a lot, basically every episode. But there is a motto for the distillery that reigns true on just about everything.
Yeah.
So I'm not seeing any guesses or
Ooh,
answers.
we might have stumped them.
Zach Brooks has one. Tom Olson. All right, we've got a few coming in. And let's talk about it. So we've got, I'm going to let them come in just a little bit more. So for the distillery, there's an expansion.
Yeah.
But there's also, we'll say, a heavy tradition when it comes to making whiskey, right?
Yeah, and Buffalo Trace, I think, is an example, the best example you can get of that tradition from the history that we have here, right from the 1780s right through to today. So that tradition is very important.
Somebody says, respect the past, embrace the future.
Ooh.
Pretty close.
That's getting close.
It's really close.
It only counts in horseshoes, though.
That's right. Embrace tradition, honor. Embrace tradition, honor tradition. That was an answer. All right. What's the answer? And give us a little context or an example of what it means.
Honor tradition, embrace change. So you can't forget where you came from, so you honor that tradition, which we do here, I think, better than any other place, as far as I'm concerned. But at the same time, we embrace change, or we want to make things better. So that's that continuous improvement that really motto tries to capture. Is we do a good job at what we do, and we honor that tradition, but we want to get better and for the future. So that, to me, is really what it entitles, or what that means to me. And as a matter of fact, it means that much that in the lab, when you come to my lab, the motto is on the wall as you walk into the lab, because that's what we're here, is honor the tradition of the past, but also embrace change, which we do here pretty good because we experiment a lot. And that's a whole nother topic, a whole nother session if we wanted to talk about that.
Well, I'm going to call out a few folks here. Zach Brooks was the first one to answer. His answer was embrace change, honor tradition. You know,
that's
and
good.
then Tom Olson was the second one to answer, and he says honor tradition, embrace change. So,
excellent.
Yeah. All right, move on.
This one's a question on our antique collection. So if you're familiar with the BTAC collection, Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, you might know some of these, but it's pretty interesting trivia. What was the year that Sazerac 18 was introduced?
That's a great question.
Now, it's trivia, so it's something you don't have at the tip your fingertips. So,
can we give some hints? Let me ask you, were you here when it was introduced, or was it introduced before you or after you?
Before me.
It was, okay. All right.
But not before it was around after the turn of the century. How's that?
Yeah. Okay.
So that limits it.
It does. All right, so lots of...
I didn't think I was supposed to give clues.
I know, but it's a tough one. So we've got 1992.
No.
2006, 2005, 2002.
Getting close. Whew, hot.
Yeah. Somebody says 18 years ago. It's a pretty smart answer. 2001.
Ooh, that's really close.
2000.
Yes.
Zachary Scott.
Zachary.
Yep, says 2000. So
excellent.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Great question. And Bruce got it right as well. Might have been after we gave it away, but I'm not sure.
Well, there was another. This one's another one on this. Let's just hinge off that.
Okay.
William LaRue Weller was named something first before it was introduced. It wasn't called William LaRue Weller. It was called something else. Does anybody know?
And we're not talking about, let's say, Weller Special Reserve.
No, it's the antique.
The antique. We're staying in antique.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to. This one's a trivia question too, because it's only was available for a few years at the beginning.
That's a great question. So, the antique collection, the William LaRue Weller, what was it called first?
Yes.
Before it was just William LaRue Weller.
Weller.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We
may have stumped him.
Yes.
We've got
no winners. That's too bad.
No, whoop.
Oh.
Kevin Kelly's answered. I'm not going to. Okay, we've got some coming in. So there is a little bit, I'm noticing there's a little lag there's a few second lag between when
While they look it up on the internet.
No,
right? Yeah.
It's like 5 seconds before they actually get the question when we actually say it. So that's why there's a little delay right after we ask questions. Okay, somebody says Stitzelweller.
Nope.
Weller and Brothers.
Nope.
Weller and Weller.
Nope.
This is pretty good.
Those are good names. We should use those.
Somebody says not loving this lag. Nathan, sorry, I'm just realizing we're asking questions, and then it does take a few seconds before it gets to you. So we'll pause longer. All right, let's give it away. Somebody says Weller and Sons.
Nope. It was called Weller 19. So it was actually 19 years old. That could be another trivia question. How old was it?
That's right. So Kevin Kelly was our first answer, and he did answer Weller 19 years.
Woo!
But I didn't want to give it away by saying, "Oh, dang! Look, Kevin's."
So very clever.
But he was one of the first ones, and
Excellent.
there's several others that got it.
Excellent. Well, we have some really knowledgeable people here.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on. And after he asks this, I'll wait a little while before so the lag catches up to you. All right, what else we got, Drew?
Oh, we got lots. I'm just trying to figure out. Okay, we have different mash bills. We call mash bill number 1 and mash bill number 2. So give me a couple examples of mash bill number 1.
So which brands?
Products, yes.
Products
Yes.
within mash bill number
And
one.
I can give them a clue on this one.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I think. All right. So somebody did ask. He says, "How much?" Answer the question. Let's see. Yeah, Weller 19 was the answer to the last question.
Yeah.
All right. So give us 3 or 4, 2
Yeah.
or 3, 2 or 3.
Three.
3 products within mash bill
Number one.
A lot of one. Yep. Okay. I'm watching these. They're
coming in.
yeah, they're coming in, and people know their stuff here. We'll give them a minute here. So between the mash bills, Drew, when you're tasting, let's talk about the builds. What's the biggest difference, let's say, between the taste profile of 1 and 2?
Well, you typically will find that 2 is a little spicier because it has a slightly higher rye content.
Okay.
So you're going to get a lot of that Christmas spice, that cinnamon. You get a little bit. People think it's hotter, but it's just more spiciness.
Mm-hmm.
And then conversely, then number 1 will be a little sweeter because it's not as spicy because of that. So the balance is a little bit different.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so lots of answers. So let's rattle off some.
Well, I was going to give a clue. It's sitting in front of me.
Okay, that's a good clue.
Can they see that?
Yeah, that's a good clue. All right, so lots of folks have some answers here, but let's rattle off some of the products.
Well, I'll just give you a few. Benchmark, which is aged 3+ years. We got Buffalo Trace, E.H. Taylor, Eagle Rare, George T. Stagg. So there's some good products that you can.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's Zach Brooks also. You got him. Matt Carter. Sorry. So yeah, you can see. Yeah, the team on here's got the knowledge here.
Great.
So. All right. Next question, Drew. So I'm going to back up just on mash bill 1 real quick. So you can see that progression. There's, like you said, Buffalo Trace. So Benchmark, Buffalo Trace, Stagg, Eagle Rare, E.H. Taylor. So I just wanted to kind of give those again.
Yeah, but you'll notice there's some similarity, but they're totally different taste profiles. Mm-hmm. And so the mash bill being the same, they're aged in different locations depending on the age, etc. And also the age makes a big difference in the taste profile because as you age, you get more complexity. That's evolving as it ages over time.
Mm-hmm. All right, next question.
How much, in round numbers, do you think of a bottle of bourbon goes to the government in taxes?
Tax question.
And it could vary from state to state, but I just want to get people an understanding of the proportion. It's not the distillery that makes all the money, trust me.
So a percentage.
Yes.
So what
Let's
percentage?
do numbers.
What average, we'll say,
Yeah.
percentage is taxed?
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
each bottle. Great.
Yeah, just to give them an idea of the context of where your tax money is going when you buy them.
Okay, I'm going to let it ride for a bit. We've got several answers coming in.
And I got a trick question after this if you want to end on that.
Yeah, we've got, this is interesting. So I'm looking at some, I believe it's somebody says, some of these are pretty funny. I'm not going to repeat them, but I agree with you. I agree with y'all. All right, so what's the answer, Drew?
On the average, there's about more than 60% goes to the government.
60?
So, yeah. And like again, it depends on where you are, and some people pay sales tax on top of the taxes and stuff. So there's a lot of tax on a bottle, and
that's incredible.
It's incredible,
okay.
Yeah.
So I got to say, Zachary Scott nailed it. He said 60%.
Yeah, pretty good.
We do have 78%, 41%, 30%, 50%. So people are in the ballpark.
Yeah.
In the ballpark.
Fantastic.
Great. What else we got, Drew?
Let me see. Maybe true and false, something that's easy.
Let's do it.
Water molecules are smaller than alcohol molecules. True or false?
Water molecules are smaller.
And the reason we're asking this question, the thought process is that about the evaporation that happens, the angel's share.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember you covered this in
Yeah.
one of your episodes.
Right.
All right, so true or false? Water molecules are smaller than alcohol molecules. All right, got answers coming in. Give it a second. Let's talk about angel share a little bit.
Yeah, so when you're in a warehouse, like if you're, especially in Kentucky, as you're aging it, you'll notice that the maximum that we can put it in is at 125. We went through that. It's 125 proof at the beginning. But sometimes you'll get our antique collection, which is straight from the barrel, and it's higher than that. So what's actually happening as it ages here in Kentucky, the pressure and the heat that's inside the barrel actually pushes out the water molecules before the ethanol, at least at a higher rate. So that's why the proof actually increases in the barrel over time. So sometimes we've had a George T. Stagg at 140 some proof, which is much higher than 125. So you can see what's happening is you have that concentration of flavor over time, whereas the water's evaporating and actually the proof is going up. Mm-hmm. So that gives you a clue to the answer.
Yeah, definitely a clue. And I think it's fascinating. And we've gotten that question quite a bit on Whiskey Wednesday, is if you can only go in the barrel at 125 proof maximum for bourbon, how can there be 141 proof bourbon on the market? And you just explained it really well.
Just think of that pressure in that barrel when it's hot. It just pushes the smaller molecules through faster than, say, ethanol. There's still ethanol escaping, but the water really goes out because it's smaller.
Okay, so the answer would be true.
Right.
So water escapes much faster and much sooner.
Right, and conversely, if you go to the lower areas where it's cool, there's less water and more alcohol getting out. So that means proof can go down.
Okay, I'm going to throw an off the cuff question at you. With all the water escaping out of the barrels, let's say in the top of the warehouses, can that water then affect the other barrels? Let's say, now I'm just going off the cuff here. If a bunch of water escapes the barrels at the top of the rick house, can that affect the barrels that are below it, or does it just evaporate off usually?
I think the answer would be it could, but typically when it's hot, you'll see our warehouses' windows are all open.
The windows are open.
So you've got airflow.
Yep, so it's going out the window.
Yeah, so if you were to close everything up, it probably would affect it more.
It probably would.
That's a good question. That's a very technical question.
Yes, sorry. All right. So,
do I have one more?
Let's do it. So there's
this one's a trick. This is hard to get.
Okay. Before you do, I just want to make sure everybody enjoying this. I just want to get some thumbs up or thumbs down. I think Drew and I are really enjoying it. So it looks like you guys are. Looks like everyone has given some great answers too. So we just want to make sure you.
Well, I don't like it as well as the other sessions because I don't get to taste too much.
Well, you can taste. That's why it's in front of you. That's why it's in front of you. Okay. What's the next question? We got a couple more in us here.
Well, I said that in one of the episodes, which if people are watching, what is my favorite spirit?
Oh.
And I can give you a couple answers on that. I might have said two. See, that one's tough because you have to have watched the episodes.
Definitely. So what is Drew's favorite spirit?
And I'll give you a clue. It's from Buffalo Trace.
Huh. I'm with everyone on this. I'm trying to think. What would Drew's favorite spirit be?
This one's.
He's saying spirit. He's not saying exactly a brand or a product.
I might be misleading you though.
Okay. All right.
This is a tough question because I might have said it once, and people wouldn't catch on.
Matt says Taylor Tornado Survivor. That's a good. Who doesn't love that one, right?
Yes.
Is that the answer?
No.
Oh, I was like, That's pretty good. So
Now the answer is
before you say it,
ambiguous.
okay. So just understand, if you've watched these Whiskey Wednesdays, Drew has a very broad background too. He's worked in the industry for a long time, even before he came here. So he's tasted lots of different spirits. But we do make it here. Or it is.
I can't answer that.
Okay, yeah. But it is a.
So don't think so much about. Well, I have to tell you the answer.
Okay, let's go for the answer.
It's really an unfair question, I must admit. But I like the answer because it's true.
Okay.
It's the one we haven't made yet.
Did you know that? No? Okay.
And I really believe that because we make so many new products and we experiment so much. We have the best yet the best is yet to come.
That is a trick question.
It is a trick. I warned everybody up front.
Trick question.
And nobody would have gotten that, I bet.
No, but we do have a lot of Elmer T. Lee, Eagle Rare and Stag.
I forgot another question.
Oh yeah.
This
well,
one
let's skip. Let's do one more than that one.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Bonus. Well, some of these are pretty hard. Do you want an easy one or a hard one?
Let's go easy this time.
Okay.
So Brian, hello from California. All right.
Can you age bourbon in used barrels?
Oh, true. That was a warm up. This audience is going to crush.
Well, I know now that
this audience is going to crush that one. All right. So Kelly asked you while we're waiting on some answers to come through, what is your favorite bourbon? Do you have a favorite?
Well, we're looking at it.
Yeah, Buffalo Trace.
It's fantastic quality for the price point. It's absolutely a great. You can mix it. You can drink it straight, neat, with ice, anything you want. Cocktails. It's a perfect bourbon. It's the perfect bourbon.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, like expected, we do have a lot of the
right answers?
Yeah, I'll just say.
Well, how do you know what the right answer? No, you.
All right. So
it has to. You want me to?
Yeah, let's go for it. Yeah.
No, you cannot age in used barrels, or it's not bourbon. It has to be a brand new charred oak barrel.
Mm-hmm. So brand new, and we do know from Susanna's single barrel, the single barrel program episode, that you can ship those barrels like Irish whiskey or tequila, beer, other things can be aged in those.
Yeah, rum, cognac.
Yeah. Once it's out of here,
Scotch,
used once,
yes,
it can go anywhere and be used again.
Well, they need the help of the flavor of bourbon in their products, right?
There you go. Yeah, we think so. We think so.
Now, I have to end on easier because we went through some tough ones. And who was the first master blender at Buffalo Trace?
Is it a...
It's a trick question. This one you don't have to answer.
Okay.
Because it was me.
Yeah, there you go.
17 years ago.
Yep. So back before you, folks were just, giving it the old try there. But now the master title, the experience comes in, tightens it up, get all this nice, consistent product.
Yep. And new products.
So we good? We got one more?
Yeah, I want to do this because I have a little, instead of reading one, I'm going to ask people in the audience, who is this? Can you see it?
They may not. It's really far. Here, I'll help you.
This was in my lab in the distillery. And this person is tasting.
It's an incredible photo. All right.
I bet some people will get it.
All right, so who is this in the photo?
This person is very young, but and it's a profile, so it's really difficult. You really have to know your people that have worked here at Buffalo Trace.
And it's really interesting to see him sitting at the table, tasting. So I'm sure he was an integral part in a lot of that process then.
I would say so, yes.
Yeah.
There's
Great.
big clue there.
Yeah.
And it's not me, sorry.
No, I think again we've got a great audience here that are really tuned in. We're hoping that the Whiskey Wednesdays brought more knowledge to a knowledgeable base already, but hopefully throughout the Whiskey Wednesdays we've done some education.
Yep.
We've given you some information you didn't have before, and it's showing. I think it's really showing that we've got a great audience here. So lots of answers, lots of a couple funny, not correct answers, but I like that too. All right. So who's in the photo?
Oh, you want me to tell you?
Yeah, let's go.
This happens to be Elmer T. Lee. He actually signed this to me, which I'm going to cherish forever.
Yeah, that's great. And one thing about Elmer, very consistent signing. His name is very consistent.
It's like it was a stamp.
Yeah, it's amazing. Luckily I have a bottle that he signed to me years ago, and it looks just like that. It's very cool, Drew.
Yeah, that one is very nice.
Lots of answers. I mean, most of the answers are correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, most people, they know who it is. We did have a few others, but the majority is definitely Elmer T. Lee.
Fantastic. What a great group.
Yep, and thank you, Zach. Looks like Matt says, Ben, buy it now. I don't think that photo's for sale.
No, he signed that to me. Elmer used to come into my office before he was tasting, and he would be just talking about the industry, the business. He was the nicest person you'd ever want to meet. He was, but the rumor has it when he was in charge, he was pretty tough.
Yeah.
But I never saw any of that. And anyways, it was a pleasure to have known him.
Yeah.
And his contribution to the distillery and the industry is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And we couldn't have done it without him.
That's great.
Yep.
That's great. A lot of great talent have worked here and still work here.
Yeah.
So, all right, Drew, we've definitely taken up enough of your time. Hopefully this was entertaining for everyone and that you learned something. And again, if you have ideas for future Whiskey Wednesdays, drop them in. We haven't asked that. So we figured we'd just keep asking questions.
Right.
Are there some topics you'd love for us to cover? So thank you, Drew. Any closing statements at all?
Cheers.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, everyone. See you next Wednesday.
Bye.
2:00.